Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am excited to share about a topic that I think can be a difficult one, especially as you approach older grades in homeschool, and that topic is how we make writing fun in our home. Now today's video is part of an open collaboration, a monthly homeschool show and tell series that Jessica from the Waldock Way and I invite any and all homeschooling YouTubers to participate in. So if you want to share your thoughts on this topic, I will put the playlist in the description box down below and all the info that you need. And I also always pin a comment in the comments if you want to leave your video there for me to add to the playlist for you, because I feel like playlists have been a little wonky on YouTube as of late. So if you have a problem adding to the playlist, just go ahead and look for that comment in the comments and leave your video there, because I love seeing all the different creators that participate each month. There's quite a few every single month who share, so thank you to those of you who do share month to month. I appreciate it. It's really fun to kind of build community in this way. And just again, mine and Jessica's whole reasoning for starting this open collaboration years ago was just to show that there's not one right way to homeschool, by giving you glimpses into other homeschool moms' thoughts and just opinions and the way that you guys do things. So if you don't see what you like here, just pop through that playlist and you might find another like-minded homeschooler to give you some good ideas and input. So make sure you follow along on that playlist or add to that playlist if you would like to. So I'm gonna go ahead and just share my thoughts on the idea of making writing fun in homeschool, how I've done things with my 4 kids, but now 5 kids, but 4 of whom are homeschooled currently, over the years, and just my thoughts on what's been fruitful and what has not been. So if you're newer around here, you might not know, but I am closely aligned with the Charlotte Mason method. It is the method that kind of spoke most to me when we began homeschooling, and so I've followed loosely along with that since the beginning. And so we have some things that we've done over the years to build to the point where we're at now. My oldest is about to go into high school, and we've kind of followed the same format for all of our kids under her. So everyone's done the same thing in our home. And while I wouldn't say that I necessarily try to cultivate excitement about writing, I do believe that they all enjoy writing quite a bit because they write for fun, they write in their free time. They seem to enjoy writing on their own, even when it's not assigned by me. And so I thought what I would do is I would share with you my method for teaching writing, why I think it's been a fruitful method, and just kind of the reasons why I think that this has cultivated a love of writing in my older children. So I'm gonna take it back to the beginning, actually even before I have readers, and that is just the idea of narration. If you need a good resource, I highly recommend Know and Tell by Karen Glass. This is the art of narration. This takes you from the beginning stages of oral narration all the way up through written narration, refining written narration, composition, and formal writing, all the way through high school and beyond. This is a wonderful resource. I actually got to sit in on a narration session with Karen Glass last year at the Simply Charlotte Mason retreat, and it was a great session and made me want to read this book again and again. So no matter how old your child is, whether they're in preschool or whether you're starting this in 10th grade, I think this is a wonderful tool. Don't neglect this. I would definitely grab this. This is a wonderful resource. So following along with kind of what's laid out in here and just the things that drew me to the Charlotte Mason method in the beginning, it was just listening to good books and literature, narrating, learning the art of narration, oral narration, and kind of just not teaching anything unnecessarily early. So essentially teaching something once when the child is old enough to understand it, and then not having to reteach and reteach and reteach it. So for example, not teaching a 5-paragraph essay in 2nd or 3rd grade and then continuing to teach it and tweak it and reteach it all the way through. With the Charlotte Mason method, actually you aren't doing any of that formal writing until the later years, which can feel like quite concerning when you're like, everyone else is doing composition in 5th grade and we're not doing that yet. But trust me, the process has worked very well for us. My older kids are doing very well with writing, and they actually love it. It's not a grind for them, and I do believe that it's because this method is a beautiful, gentle introduction to writing and to loving writing forever. So as I was saying, taking it all the way back to the beginning, we practice narration even when our kids are quite young. Even before they're even doing oral narration, they're doing illustrated narrations, like draw me a picture of what you heard, draw me a picture of what you saw, learning to retell, just learning to retell what they heard or what they saw or what they experienced, even starting just with simple pictures. So pictures and oral narration, these are things that we utilize in those preschool, early kindergarten, early elementary years. I also do believe that teaching reading and grammar plays into learning how to write, because it gives them, I'm like, do you ever see words in your head as you're saying them? That's what I'm doing. So it gives them a relationship with reading, which can turn into a relationship with writing. So taking it back to the beginning, for my younger kids, for all 4 of them, again, I have 5 kids, but 1 of them is an infant. So for my 4 who are school aged, we have done All About Reading from the beginning. Now I'll link this down below. We love All About Reading. It is beautiful. It's got illustrations. It's fun for the kids. It's a great introduction to learning how to read. But even before that, just having time where you read. Even with my baby, we sit down and we read constantly. We're always reading books. Books are joyful in our home. Books are what they want to gravitate toward. My kids, even my older ones, still love a book. So there's always books in our house. We're always opening books together. It is a family time. It's together time. It's enjoyable. We're reading aloud. We're reading independently. They're seeing mom and dad read. So reading and having a positive relationship with reading is very important to me. So All About Reading has been, in my opinion, a wonderful tool, even with different learners, different learning styles in my home. It's visual. They can also use magnetic tiles. They're reading, they're doing flashcards, and I tweak it to each of them, but there's an option for each of them in that curriculum. Moving on from that, we then move toward Using Language Well and Spelling Wisdom by Simply Charlotte Mason. Again, this is a gentle approach. One of the reasons I love this curriculum is because it's about 15 minutes and only 2 days a week. The rest of the time, their formal reading and writing is just spent reading good books. So this is a simple introduction to grammar and writing, and then as they move through this series, they are getting in toward composition. So at the beginning, you're like, is this enough? Is this enough? But as you get in toward like book 3 and book 4, it's enough. Trust me, it builds, it teaches them once as they're old enough to learn something, and they are able to work through it without, my kids have not struggled with this at all. They've really enjoyed it. And again, different learning styles. It's worked for all of us and it's not exhaustive, which again, is kind of my point in teaching this stuff, is I don't want them to have a negative experience with this. Again, I do believe that enjoying writing comes from enjoying reading. So we're constantly reading good books aloud. We're assigning good books. They're always reading good books in our house and in our morning time, and just building a positive relationship. And then for my elementary aged kids, their main curriculum is 5 in a row, which is all focused on a book. So books, 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 books. If you haven't caught my, kind of caught on here, books for fun, books for learning, books to, books all over the place. That's the beginning of writing, in my opinion, as well as narrating this, narrating that, narrating after morning time, narrating after read aloud, narrating what the sermon was, narrating what our day was like, narration, narration, narration. It's great too, because narrating is really such a great way to work on those early composition skills. A lot of times my kids will say things like, oh, he said this and that, if we're like, tell me about your sermon. Well, he went to Galilee. Who's he? Who's he? Oh, Jesus went to Galilee. And it just kind of teaches them through conversation, through narration, how to start getting those thoughts across clearly, even before they put a pen to paper. Moving on toward the middle and high school years, which is where we're at now, which is where writing really comes into play in our homeschool. My kids, again, continue with the Using Language Well and Spelling Wisdom. The Know and Tell book gives wonderful ideas for how to turn written narrations into formal writing and into formal essays, which is really great. And I also assign them one written narration per month based on a hero of history or a Christian hero. But there's a really great program out there, which you guys have heard me talk about before. It's called Redefining School, and this has been an answer to prayer for me because I can have them read and write all day long, but I do feel like literature and writing is best taught and experienced in a group setting. And Redefining School has been an answer to prayer for us in that sense. So Redefining School is an online homeschool literature program. So she has creative writing courses, and she also has a literature survey that's a year long. And in that, they get to have weekly lessons, an overview of a different author or poet, games they can play, different things that different PDFs that they're working on. And then they also meet twice a month in a Zoom setting, in a Zoom format, and get to share their work. They get to do an author's chair. They get to have fun poetry coffee houses where everyone brings a baked good to their Zoom meeting and shares their work. Or they get to discuss what they've been reading. And it's just a great peer setting that is run by Dr. Mindy Schiermeyer, who is actually a friend of mine. And it is, she's a Christian, so they use the Bible as truth in that setting, but they also they read good books. It's not all Christian books or anything like that, but it's just nice because I feel like sometimes when you're doing these literature discussions and author studies, it can take a funny turn. And so I do like that they kind of center back to the Bible when they need to. And it's a great controlled environment for them to practice those discussions. And I have seen my kids absolutely just come alive by using her program. They've used it for about a year now because they started with her online spring sampler last year, which she's getting ready to release again. If you want to try it out and see if you like it for next year, I'll put all of her info in the description box down below so that you guys can, you won't want to miss that because she only opens it up for a week for enrollment. But we actually have been doing this with her for over a year because she teaches literature in our co-op as well. So we're lucky because we have access to her in person, but this online program has been wonderful. She also has creative writing courses. There are 4 different offerings per year, so they can practice daily writings and then also meeting in a peer setting, which is really fun. So that, I would say, of all of the things that I've mentioned, that is the most fun because this is her gifting. Middle school is really her gifting, and so she makes it fun, like these poetry coffee houses and all these really cool ways to share, and these unique like collage writings and using paint chips to write. And she is just so gifted, and it's really brought joy to my kids. So a quick recap, I do believe that Redefining School brings a lot of joy into my kids' learning, but I think that we have started teaching a love for reading and writing way back in the beginning by not exhausting them with lessons, by reading good books and making it a family affair, and just by encouraging age-appropriate narration. So I will link all the resources I mentioned in the description box down below. Don't forget to check out Redefining School because, again, when she opens that sometime this month, it will be open for a very short amount of time for enrollment. So you want to check that out if you have a middle schooler. And I'll link, like I said, all these other books like Know and Tell. Don't skip out on that. It's a good one to read. If you like to read in the summer to prepare for the next school year, it's a great one. So I'll link that down below. Make sure that you check out the playlist to hear from others on how they make writing really fun in their homeschool. And I will see you soon. Bye, guys.